I don't cry often. I'm a 32-year-old man who works in construction. But last Saturday, I stood in the middle of my house and wept like a child. To understand why, you have to understand the room. When I bought my fixer-upper 3 years ago, there was a sunroom off the back that was rotting away. Most people would have torn it down. I saw potential. For the last 18 months, every weekend and every spare dollar I had went into that room. I turned it into my dream home office and listening room. I'm an audiophile, I love high-end audio, and I collect vintage vinyl records. I did the drywall myself. I installed custom acoustic soundproofing. I built walnut shelving units by hand that spanned the entire wall. The centerpiece was my setup, a vintage tube amplifier I spent 6 months restoring, a $3,000 turntable, and my collection of 400-plus vinyl records, including some rare first pressings that are irreplaceable. All in, the room contained about $15,000 worth of equipment and priceless sentimental value. It was my sanctuary. It was the one place in the world where I could lock the door, put on headphones, and breathe. Then came my sister, Jessica, and her 2 free spirits, Liam, 9, and Noah, 7. Jessica is my older sister, and she subscribes to a style of parenting that involves zero-word no and a lot of exploring their boundaries. I love my nephews, but they are undisciplined whirlwinds of destruction. They have broken my lamps before. They have drawn on my walls. Last Saturday was my mom's 60th birthday. I offered to host the dinner because I have the biggest dining room. When Jessica arrived, the boys immediately sprinted into the house with muddy shoes. "Shoes off, guys." I called out. "Let them be, OP," Jessica sighed, dropping her purse on my kitchen island. "They've been cooped up in the car. They need to express their energy." I took a deep breath. Fine. But listen to me, Jessica. The sunroom doors are closed. Nobody goes in there. I have very expensive, fragile equipment set up. It is strictly off-limits. I pointed to the double French doors at the back of the house. I had closed them, but the lock was a simple latch that I hadn't upgraded yet. Jessica rolled her eyes. "Relax. They aren't interested in your boring old records. They just want to play on the iPad." "I'm serious," I said, looking her in the eye. "If they go in there, they could tip over a speaker that weighs 50 pounds. It's dangerous. Keep them out." Okay. You're such a control freak." The party started. We were having drinks in the kitchen. My mom was opening gifts. The boys were running laps around the living room, screaming. Every time I looked over, they were near the French doors, and every time, I shooed them away. "Liam, get away from the glass." I yelled at one point. "Don't yell at him." Jessica snapped from the couch. "You're scaring him. He's just looking." Around 6 p.m., I went into the kitchen to pull the lasagna out of the oven. My mom followed me to help. We were chatting about her birthday plans. For about 5 minutes, the house went quiet. Too quiet. My stomach dropped. I realized I couldn't hear the screaming anymore. "Where are the boys?" I asked my mom. Before she could answer, I heard it. It wasn't a small sound. It was a massive, sickening crash, followed by the sound of shattering glass and wood splintering. Then, silence. I dropped the oven mitts on the floor. I sprinted out of the kitchen. "Liam. Noah." Jessica called out lazily from the living room, looking up from her phone. What was that? I reached the French doors. They were wide open. I stepped inside my sanctuary. Time seemed to slow down. My brain couldn't process the level of devastation in front of me. My custom walnut shelves, the ones I built by hand, had been climbed on. They weren't designed to hold the weight of a 9-year-old child. The entire unit had pulled away from the wall and collapsed forward. Hundreds of vinyl records were spilled across the floor, many snapped in half or deep scratched by the debris. But the worst part was the equipment. The shelving unit had landed directly on my desk. My vintage tube amp was smashed, the glass tube shattered. The $3,000 turntable was on the floor, the tone arm bent at a 90-degree angle. Liam was standing on top of the pile of rubble, looking guilty. Noah was holding one of my rare Beatles albums, bending it back and forth like a piece of cardboard. I stood in the doorway, my hand shaking, feeling the blood drain from my face. "Oops," Liam said. Jessica walked up behind me, holding her wine glass. She peered over my shoulder. "Oh my God," she said, her voice dripping with annoyance rather than apology. "Opie, why didn't you anchor the shelves better? Liam could have been hurt." "You're worried about the shelves?" I choked out, my voice barely a whisper. "Jessica, look at the floor. Look at the equipment." I stepped carefully over the wreckage. My knees hit the hardwood floor, the Brazilian walnut floors I had installed myself just last month. There were deep, jagged gouges where the metal brackets of the shelving unit had scraped across the wood when it fell. That alone was thousands of dollars in refinishing work. But the audio equipment, that was the dagger in my heart. I picked up the Macintosh tube amplifier. The glass faceplate was shattered. The vacuum tubes, vintage Telefunken tubes from the 1960s that are almost impossible to find, were crushed into powder. That amp was my baby. I spent 2 years tracking it down. "Get out," I said to the boys. Liam and Noah scrambled off the pile of debris, stepping on a stack of vinyl records as they ran to their mother. I heard the sickening snap of plastic as Noah's sneaker crushed a copy of Dark Side of the Moon. "Don't yell at them," Jessica hissed, hugging the boys who were now fake crying into her shirt. "It was an accident. They were just trying to reach the top shelf. They are climbers. You know that. I told you to keep them out." I roared, standing up. "I told you explicitly. This isn't a playground, Jessica. This is $15,000 of equipment." Jessica scoffed, waving her hand at the pile of twisted metal and wood. "Oh, stop being so dramatic. It's a bunch of old records and some used speakers. You probably bought this stuff at a garage sale. What is it, really? A few $100. I felt the blood pounding in my ears. She truly didn't understand. She saw old electronics and assumed they were worthless trash. "This amplifier is worth $4,000, I said, pointing a shaking finger. "The turntable is $3. The records. Some of these pressings are worth $200 each. And the floor. The floor is ruined." I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. "You are paying for this. All of it." Jessica's face went cold. She let go of the boys and crossed her arms. "I am not paying you a dime," she said flatly. "You are the one who created an unsafe environment for children. You should have anchored those shelves better. Honestly, I should sue you for emotional distress. Liam is traumatized." "The shelves were anchored for books and records," I yelled. "Not for a 90-pound kid using them as a jungle gym. And they wouldn't have been in here if you had watched them." "They are children," she screamed back. "Kids break things. That's what they do. You're supposed to be the cool uncle, not this miser who cares more about his stupid toys than his family. You have insurance, don't you? Just claim it." "Insurance covers theft and fire," I said, trying to keep my hands from shaking. "It doesn't cover negligent sister lets her feral kids destroy the house. And even if it did, why should my premiums go up because you can't parent?" "I am a single mother," she played her favorite card. "I don't have $10,000 lying around for your vanity project. You make good money. Just fix it and get over it." "Get out," I said. "What?" "Get out of my house. Take your kids, take your purse, and get out. Now." My mom came running in from the kitchen, looking terrified. "Opie, please, let's calm down. It's just things. We can glue the shelves back together." "Mom, look at this." I gestured to the room. "The amp is crushed. You can't glue a vacuum tube back together. She destroyed everything I work for." "I'm leaving," Jessica announced, grabbing her purse. "And don't expect to see your nephews for a long time. You are clearly unstable." She marched the boys out the front door. She didn't apologize. She didn't offer to help clean up. She just walked away, leaving me standing in the ruins of my sanctuary. I looked at the gouged floors. I looked at the shattered glass. And I realized that if she thought family meant she could get away with $15,000 in property damage, she was about to learn a very expensive lesson about the legal system. The silence in my house that night wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. I didn't clean up the mess. I couldn't touch it. Instead, I called a professional appraiser the next morning. Since a lot of my equipment was vintage, I needed an expert to certify the value for the court. I also called a flooring contractor to quote the repair for the Brazilian walnut. The total damages came to $18,400. I sent Jessica a formal demand letter via certified mail first. It was a chance for her to settle this without lawyers. I even offered a payment plan. She texted me a picture of the letter burning in her sink with the caption, "Get a life." That was the last time I communicated with her directly. I hired a civil litigation attorney. We skipped small claims court entirely because the damages exceeded the limit. We filed a civil suit for property damage and negligence. The court case. 6 months later, we were in court. Jessica showed up without a lawyer, wearing a frantic expression and trying to play the overwhelmed mother card to the hilt. When the judge asked for her defense, she cried, "Your Honor, my brother is a bully. He invites my children over and then sues me when they have a little accident. He has plenty of money. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. This is just cruel." My lawyer stood up. He didn't use emotion. He used math. "Your Honor, the defendant was explicitly warned that the room was off limits due to safety hazards and high-value equipment. She acknowledged this warning, yet failed to supervise her minor children, resulting in the destruction of property valued at over $18,000. Here are the appraisals. Here are the contractor quotes. Here is the text message exchange from the day of the incident establishing the boundary." The judge looked at the photos of the smashed tube amplifier. He looked at the gouged floors. The judge said to Jessica, "Being a parent does not absolve you of liability for your children's actions, especially when you are negligent in your supervision. If your child drove a car into a living room, you would be liable. This is no different." The verdict: judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $18,400, plus legal fees. Jessica screamed in the hallway, "I don't have $18,000. You can't get blood from a stone. You'll never see a penny." She was right about one thing: she didn't have the cash. She thought that was the end of it. She thought the judgment was just a piece of paper she could ignore. She forgot that our parents had helped her buy a small house 5 years ago. She had equity. The lien. My lawyer explained the next step. Since she refuses to pay and claims insolvency, we can move to enforce the judgment against her assets. We filed a judgment lien against her property. This means I attached my debt to her house. She can't sell it, she can't refinance it, and she can't take out a home equity loan without paying me first, with interest. In my state, judgment liens accrue 10% interest annually. I sent her a copy of the lien filing. My mom called me, crying, "Opie, you put a lien on your sister's house? That destroys her credit. She wanted to move to a bigger school district next year." "She can still move," I said calmly. "She just has to pay me the $18,400 plus interest from the sale proceeds first." "You are ruining the family." Mom sobbed. "No, Mum. Liam and Noah ruined my office. Jessica ruined her credit by refusing to take responsibility. I'm just balancing the books." The aftermath. It has been a year. I finally rebuilt the room. It took a long time to find another vintage amp, and the floors will never be perfect, but it's my sanctuary again. I installed a commercial-grade keypad lock on the door this time. Jessica is stuck. She tried to sell her house 3 months ago when the market was hot, but the title search pulled up my lien. She called me begging me to remove it so the sale could go through. "I'll pay you when I get the money from the sale," she promised. "That's exactly how a lien works," I told her. "The title company will cut me a check directly from the escrow account. I don't need your permission." She ended up taking the house off the market because she couldn't stomach the idea of writing me a check for $20,000, thanks to the accrued interest. So, she's still in her small house. I'm in my listening room, spinning Dark Side of the Moon on a brand new turntable. The music sounds sweeter when you know justice has been served.